Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Scrap Empire. My name is Zach Hayes, and today we're going to be talking about for not this upcoming UFC Fight Night on September 11th, but the UFC 266 Fight Night for Saturday, September 25th. We're going to be featuring Robbie Lawler and Nick Diaz. We're going to be featuring Nick Diaz and Robbie Lawler. Now, you all know that Nick Diaz is the brother of the notorious and extremely reputable Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz who fought Conor McGregor. Nate Diaz who created a huge image for himself in the Ultimate Fighter Championship. Now, when I look at Nate Diaz, right, well, number one, listening to the commentary is extremely important when you're observing fights, right? And while listening, paying close attention, right? One of the commentators stated that Nick Diaz is one of the hardest workers ever. One of the hardest workers he's ever seen in his entire life. That's what's interesting about the Diaz brothers. They have all of this fame. They have all of this. They have an enormous amount of reputation, yet they still want to work hard. They still want to strive and succeed. Now let's get started with the fight with Nick Diaz and Anderson Silva. Okay. You know that Anderson Silva is arguably one of the greatest UFC fighters of all time. Not only is he one of the greatest UFC fighters of all time, he was the middleweight champion for an extremely long time in the mid to late 2000s. So Anderson Silva, on the other hand, when he fought Nick Diaz, right? Number one, he showed a lot of, I don't want to say weaknesses because, again, from what I might interpret as a weakness, Nick Diaz, maybe that's just his style, right? So, again, you have to really dissect and really take a certain amount of caution when you're determining a conclusion about just fighters, right? Now, Anderson Silva, while they were going against one another, battling against one another, Anderson Silva threw a lot of leg strikes, and he also threw great punches. And while I noticed with Nick Diaz, he was just standing and absorbing the punches. And of course, right, from a superficial aesthetic standpoint, the punches looked like it didn't really have an effect on him. He still he kept himself engaged with Anderson Silva's style, and he wanted to just embrace more of his unorthodox rhythm, and I say that Anderson Silva's unorthodox only because he's constantly moving all across the ring. He dances and moves beautifully, but it's unorthodox because it isn't the movements look natural, but it's the rhythm that he's incorporating into those movements, which makes it seem so interesting. It's like Anderson Silva is literally a ballerina, especially the way how he throws those kicks is just so fluid. He can move well, but it's unorthodox because he can move well and he can throw his strikes with fluidity. And Nick Diaz kept on absorbing. And of course, there was times throughout the fight when Nick Diaz, had some great opportunities to stop Anderson Silva. He had plenty of time. There were plenty of times throughout the fight when he threw all of the strike when he threw the strikes that counted, but it just wasn't enough for him to to have his hand raised. And it was a 5 round exhibition, right? Wasn't it there? It was a 5 round exhibition. So you have to be aware of that. Yes, Nick Diaz has the work ethic, he has the determination, and he has the will to keep on pushing forward. But again, the number one objective in anything is to always win. And I think that he has a great style to win. It just wasn't good enough for that night against Anderson Silva. Now, Robbie Lawler. Let's get started with him. Right? Robbie Lawler fought a gentleman by the name of Johnny Hendricks. For my UFC Fight Pass subscribers, look that fight up. They fought 2 times. But the second time, the fight goes up to 43 to 44 minutes on UFC Fight Pass. Now, when you look at Robbie Lawler, all right, you know, he doesn't have a ripped physique, but he looks strong. He looks like he takes good care of himself. Same thing for Johnny Hendricks as well. But, during the fight, Robbie Lawler, as soon as the fight starts, Robbie Lawler is already initiating the physicality and he's exemplifying gladiatorship, with the way how he just rushes right at Johnny Hendricks. But at the same time, I take a lot of time out to observe every little detail, and I pay attention to everything that I see. I'm always watching and I'm always listening, guys. So I watched the whole entire fight, right? And Robbie Lawler, he doesn't stand still when he's throwing, nor is he telegraphing, but he doesn't move as much. It isn't like he's constantly moving around the ring. Like, he's there and he'll stay in a position and hit you, but he isn't constantly moving. So, right, when you have somebody like Johnny Hendricks who has the wrestling experience to just take you down, he's going to do that, right? And he did that throughout all of the rounds up until round 5 when Robbie Lawler developed a rhythm, got himself together, and started punching Johnny Hendricks, but unfortunately round 5 ended. But let's get back into the detail of the fight. So during the bout, Johnny Hendricks was able to control ground position for a very, very long time, and he was throwing strikes while Robbie Lawler was on the ground. Now, when you see the decision, right, the fight's going to be in Robbie Lawler's favor, and he's going to get his hand raised. But I know I'm not the only person who makes great observations. And I will also I know there's going to be people are always going to have an opinion, and people are always going to disagree with you. But you also have some that not necessarily. You have some people who aren't agreeing nor disagreeing with you. They aren't biased towards anyone. It's just that they take a long time to create their conclusions or to create their final conclusion when it comes to a particular topic or a particular subject. So now I search up on YouTube and I put in the search bar Johnny Hendricks versus Robbie Lawler 2. And when you look down on the comments, right, you'll see that there's also people who agree with me that, that was a BS decision. I don't think it was a BS decision. I don't want to say BS. I wouldn't want to say BS because it sounds disrespectful, but as soon as I found out that Robbie Lawler won the fight, very skeptical on decision. Number one, because Johnny Hendricks, he had a very long time on controlling ground position against Robbie Lawler, and he was just controlling the tempo and dictating the pace up until round 5, when the last 2 to 3 minutes, that's when Robbie Lawler decided to just show a certain amount of to show a certain amount of aggression, right? So that was a very, very, interesting fight to watch. But let's get down to the point, all right? I gave you an analysis of Robbie Lawler when he went up against Johnny Hendricks. I also gave you an analysis with Nick Diaz going up against Anderson Silva. Now, Nick Diaz, all right? Nick Diaz is tough. Johnny Hendricks is tough. Not saying Robbie Lawler isn't tough. They're all tough. It's just what I mean by tough. Nick Diaz just has that hardcore edge to win the fight. It's not that Robbie Lawler has skill. Robbie Lawler has tactical ability. Right? Even though I didn't think he deserved to win that fight from a superficial perception standpoint. I don't think that he did enough throughout all of the rounds for him to have his hand raised compared to somebody like Johnny Hendricks, who was controlling the rhythm for majority of the rounds. But there's still from the judge's point of view, there's a reason why he needed to get his hand raised. And what I'm saying is, even there were certain points throughout the fight, right? Robbie Lawler still showed a certain amount of just skill with the way how he threw his punches. Look at the first couple of minutes, the first couple of seconds of round 1. Just look the way how he moves. Look at the way how he moves with his feet. He just has a sense of his fight IQ is just very, 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 very high. Very experienced guy. But Nick Diaz, on the other hand, he just has. I just feel like he when it comes down between the two of them testing the waters, I just see Nick Diaz having a more suitable style. Because if Johnny Hendricks is able to control the rhythm throughout all of the rounds, and he's just as tough as Nick Diaz, not only is he just as tough as Nick Diaz can punch. And if he sees the opportunity to knock you out, he's going to seek the opportunity. Right? Even though he doesn't move. Like, even when you watch Anderson Silva and Nick Diaz fight, yes, Anderson Silva moves it's not that he moves faster than Nick Diaz, it's just he's definitely more fluid, but you can tell that Nick Diaz throughout all of the rounds, just look at the way how he just keeps on coming at Anderson Silva, like with the sense of, okay, yeah, you're hitting me, but I'm still coming at you. I'm still coming at you. Like, that's the type of fighter where he could be losing all of the rounds, right? But he'll still throw a punch that's going to knock you out, and he'll still come back, and everybody's trying to figure out, damn, like, this guy is incredible with his punching power. And he reminds me of I'm not talking about just the way how he just comes right at you, and just his style, just the way how he throws his hands. He reminds me of a fighter like Juan Manuel Marquez. Look at the fight with Juan Manuel Marquez and Juan Diaz. And this is exactly what I'm talking about, because when you see Juan Manuel Marquez, right, and we watch that fight, like when I was watching that fight, Juan Diaz was winning all of the rounds from the judges' scorecards. He was a faster puncher. He was throwing more punches. But only took Juan Diaz a couple of minutes to get himself together. And like 10 Juan Diaz punches are equivalent to one Juan Manuel Marquez's punches. So that's my point. I just see Nick Diaz having a more super style. I just see Nick Diaz having a style that can suit, or that can not necessarily mimic Robbie Lawler as if he's a clown, but just having a style that will allow him to win for this upcoming UFC Fight Night, UFC 266. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching the Scrap Empire. Thank you for watching my YouTube channel. Please like, comment, subscribe to my channel. Please leave any constructive criticism or feedback that you think will allow me to help elevate my channel as well, guys. Thank you all so much for watching my content, and I'll be posting more videos soon. Thank you all so much. Bye-bye.